All right, Breakfast with Bob. We are here in beautiful Idaho, and this is actually the day of the road race. And John Terrell is with us. And John, are you doing a road race?
I am, and I'm very excited. Looking forward to it. I'm racing the C45 category.
Very cool. I watched you yesterday. So this has been a full weekend of racing. So you had the time trial, and then the crit yesterday, and then today is the road race. You like that when you do a full weekend of racing?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy stacking like events up. It just makes for a good weekend of racing.
Yes.
Like rather than just showing up and like doing a time trial and then going home, it's like you get the entire weekend to focus on racing and meet new people, and that's like part of the side I love is like interacting with everyone.
Absolutely. And to take me back, growing up, what were your sports?
Played a lot of traditional sports: football, basketball, baseball. I swam in high school. I went to high school in New Braunfels, Texas, and that region is actually like a really big BMX like region. So kind of transitioned into BMX in high school, and just like that was my passion, that was my love. So when I was 19, I was in a car accident, and BMX kind of changed for me dramatically, like the level that I could ride at. So my goal became to get back to riding like BMX, and the doctors were just really adamant about keeping me on a bike. So that's when I bought a single speed upright, like 700C bike, and just started mobbing around, and my arm was still in a sling. So I was just kind of conscientious about my limits, but definitely towed the line a few times.
So you went through limb salvage for quite, what, 2.5 years or so?
Yeah. So 2014, I was injured in a car accident. 2016, my amputation finally occurred. So there was about a 2.5 year window where I was in limb salvage and had a couple nerve transplants, and ultimately they were unsuccessful. So I voluntarily amputated about 2.5 years later.
It's funny because I interviewed obviously a lot of people gone through limb salvage, and a number of them are like, I wish I knew. I've wasted. They feel like they wasted 9 years trying to keep something that was going to be non-functional. But for you, you feel like that was an important part of the journey.
Absolutely. If I didn't put that time in, I would have definitely looked back and felt some type of like regret.
Right.
So that's one thing I've learned like through this whole process is it's like you have to go through those trials and you have to be down before you can get up. There's something called mutual arisement, and it's like you don't know what light is unless you know what dark is. So that was something that was like a lesson that I still get to go through all the time. So yeah, that was like one of the big takeaways for me, like going through that, was it's like it wasn't for nothing. It was for me to reach this point.
I like how you say you didn't lose your arm, because where's your arm at?
I very much know the whereabouts of my arm. It's in my closet. Just hanging out. My parents take care of it.
So when did you feel that you found a sport? Because obviously you're killing it in cycling.
Thanks.
And you're doing great. You seem really comfortable and real positive and real upbeat. When did you feel like, okay, I'm John again. I've got a different sport, and I'm kicking ass and taking names?
So I know exactly. Yeah, like that was definitely a moment for me.
Yeah.
And so like I said, I grew up riding BMX, so was just very accustomed to going out. Like BMX is like very unforgiving. You fall down a lot. It teaches you how to fall down and get back up.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of camaraderie in it.
Right.
So that was a huge part of like my my upbringing was like riding bikes and interacting with people, being in a bike-focused environment.
Right.
And then when I got injured, like that basically changed overnight. So I received so all my time and energy after I got injured went towards rehabilitation and school.
Right.
And during that 2.5 year period, I applied for a lot of scholarships and received a full ride scholarship through the Terrell Foundation out of Texas. And that enabled me to choose one of 13 public universities that they offered scholarships to.
Wow.
And the university I chose was the North Texas in Denton, because there was a velodrome there. And I'd seen Joe Brenny participate in the games, and like the moment I saw him take off the line and like go around that first turn. I was like, I can do that.
With one arm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I was like, I can do that too. So that kind of became a goal, and like so I set that goalpost up in my head and started imagining the things that the things that would get me there. Right. So so I moved to UNT, started school, and became a part of their road cycling program. And I was so overwhelmed with trying to maintain my academic scholarship, I didn't make any effort towards riding my bike like that first semester.
Sure.
And I passed, and I was maintaining my scholarship. But after that first semester, I just like kind of had this. I had just had this like moment with myself where I was like acknowledging that I couldn't maintain that pace.
Couldn't do both.
Right, and I wasn't pursuing cycling. So following that semester, I just kind of recalibrated, and it started with just small efforts on the bike. I would just get up and ride my bike for 5 minutes. Just get out the door.
Sure.
Come back, and like slowly I just started to gain momentum. And the first race came around, and the captain of the team contacts me. He's like, "Hey, are you going to participate?" I told him no because I was busy with school. And that happened a few more times. And then maybe like the fourth time he invited me, I was in the same place I was the other 3 times he invited me with school. And I just kind of decided, I was like, I'm going to go race bikes this weekend. So that was like a category D collegiate race.
Yeah.
I pushed off. I think I got dropped in the first like 5 miles.
Yeah.
But it was so windy, and I was watching the group pull away, and I was working so hard. And that was the first time in 2.5 years or 3 years where I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be, doing what I was intended to do.
Felt alive.
Yeah. And I finished that race. I even passed a couple people on the way in. and it just like, and it was evident. I was like, wow, like this is what I've been missing. And I went back to school, and I was just just had a way different spirit, way different mindset. And it was like, I was back to riding bikes. So I got a little taste of it, and I raced a few more times that season, and I started summer school. And I remember I was in my sister's office working on some chemistry homework, and she could just see the look of despair on my face. And she asked me, she just pumped the brakes and asked me, like, when's the last time you rode your bike? And I was like, oh, like a couple days ago. And then she started asking me about track cycling because she knew that I'd moved to that region for track cycling. And I couldn't answer the questions she was posing. And she was like, go to the website. So I opened up their website, and I looked at their calendar and saw that they had a registration class. They had a track certification course. So my sister right there was like, sign up for it. Like, go.
She
like,
knew.
yeah.
You did that.
Yep. So I think that was May of 2017.
Yeah.
I got track certified in Frisco, Texas at the late Superdrome. Yeah. It's gone now. But
And you ended up at in Colorado Springs?
yeah, in October of 2017, I went to a talent ID camp in Colorado Springs at the USOPC. And in 2018, I was invited back as a resident athlete.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
For a guy who's sort of struggling, not sure, am I a student, am I an athlete, what
Right.
am I? Then you find out, I'm an athlete.
Right. I was definitely going through a huge identity crisis. And also, like, while I was going through school, I was trying to maintain that scholarship. And
Sure.
and it was for biochemistry.
Right. Oh my God, that's hard stuff.
It was very challenging, and I was able to pass the coursework, but I was putting a lot of time into it, and not
energy.
and not pursuing my passion.
Right.
So just with reevaluation and just a bit of self-talk,
Sure.
I sorted out. I'm like, I can be an athlete, right? Like, it was like me putting myself forward and not trying to please other people, right? Like trying, like,
yourself.
right. So that was something that definitely took time and a lot of conversation and putting myself around people who encouraged that that side of me, who saw that possibility for me, who didn't write it off as a pipe dream. And like
when you're living at the Olympic Training Center, you're the real deal. They don't just invite anybody there.
right. So
Cool. What's the best race you've ever had?
best race I ever had. Like most fun or like most competitive?
Maybe what meant the most to you?
What meant the most to me was racing at a World Cup in Belgium the last World Cup.
Yeah.
To go somewhere abroad, and it's like to be in a pack and look up and see all the other nations, and like it was like 4 or 5 years ago I was watching that on TV, and then it's like I'm there and it's happening, and that was like one of those moments where I was just like so grateful and proud of myself for putting that time in and just not giving up.
Love it. What's been your connection to CAF, and how important has CAF been in this journey?
CAF has enabled me to pursue sport internationally, to pay for a coach. It's been really fundamental. I mentioned to you before, like I wouldn't have been able to do it this way if I wouldn't have had that support, and wouldn't have been able to count on that, count on that support. And so just applying for it, and so it was actually at the Talent ID camp that I attended. Someone mentioned, like, have you applied for a CAF grant?
Yeah.
And I said, what's CAF?
Of course. Yeah.
So, and I looked it up, and the deadline was approaching
Come on,
fast.
yeah.
So just got it in, right? Just
Yep.
typed it up. Wasn't super challenging, wasn't super complicated. Just had to put a little bit of time in.
Yep.
And got it submitted, and it honestly has been life-changing. Just being able to receive a stipend and use it for coaching, use it for training. It's provided me with equipment, with people, knowledge, experience. It really has been a game-changing thing for me.
Yeah. So is the goal now to look towards Paris?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So the door for Tokyo closed for me
Yeah.
after I wasn't selected for the World's team, because I wasn't internationally classified at that point.
Right.
And World Championships was the last opportunity.
Sure.
So the door kind of closed there, and I was very back and forth about still participating at trials, because I definitely wanted the experience, but I just had some family issues going
Sure.
on, and opted to bypass selections. And when I did that, like, mentally, it's like Tokyo closed, but Paris
opened
yeah,
up.
that door opened wide. So just kind of.
I'd rather go to Paris than Tokyo anyways. Come on.
Dude, they both sound pretty awesome. They both sound pretty great. But yeah, Paris. So now I'm kind of looking towards Paris and then LA in 2028.
So you're a young guy, got plenty of time. And I think a lot of people underestimate the power of sport, but obviously sport has been huge in your life.
Absolutely. Just having a place in a space and a community to relate to, having something to focus on day in and day out. Like, cycling really became like my rock, my motivation. Like, just getting on the bike, and it's like, okay, yesterday I went for 30 minutes. Today I'm going to go for an hour. Okay,
Right.
I went for an hour. Let's try 2 hours.
Yep.
And then just like slowly just gaining that momentum and building fitness. And like, it's like you go from being at the back to being in the middle to
Get at the front.
yeah, to doing the lead out to winning the sprint. So, it's definitely, sports definitely changed my life.
Love it. Hey, good luck today, man. Have
Thank
fun
you so
in the
much,
road
Bob.
race.
Thank you.
John Terrell has been our guest, everybody. You're going to be seeing a lot from this young man, and he's going to be learning French because he's going to be going to Paris. Again, Breakfast with Bob. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Au revoir.